times. So Dr. Charles, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Have you on.
Thank you.
So to get us started off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your research and your work and what makes it unique and what makes it important?
Well, I've been working closely with place-based communities all across the country and around the world and with researchers that look at what communities are doing to solve problems, to solve environmental problems, to solve our economic challenges, and indeed to deal with climate change, which is one of those big forces that everyone has to deal with.
Fantastic. So what are some of the strategies that we can use to use coastal communities to make progress on climate change?
Well, really each community has its own reality, its own uniqueness, but they share a particular feature that because local communities, and this is communities that are on the coast, but also communities outside of Ottawa, Winnipeg, Calgary, all across Canada, up in the north, of course, on the Arctic. Communities have their specific challenges, but they share a certain feature that they love the place they're in. The people are there because they care about their place, and I think that's the core of the solution. That when you're dealing with climate change, it's changing the places that we live in, but the local people have the best knowledge for how to deal with that. So the connection with knowledge is all about using science, social science, using our knowledge base scientifically, but combining that with what people know on the ground in those communities.
Great. So what are some of your favorite examples of instances in which you've leveraged this location-specific knowledge in coastal communities to address these larger global challenges?
Well, we're looking at that whole question of what local communities are contributing through a large global network called the Community Conservation Research Network. We're also looking at that through a range of projects like Canadian MEOPAR project, and each one of those is basically assessing what's happening at the community level, and then how can government support those local initiatives in communities. So some examples, there's a wonderful community in Nova Scotia called Port Mattoon that's basically trying to work towards their future that's a green future that combines their love of the ocean, they're a coastal community, with the need for sustainable jobs and finding a path in that way. Same thing on the west coast, Tofino in British Columbia, the same idea of community that's really got that ocean connection, got that connection with the land, the forest, and so on, and finding a way to be sustainable. Up in the Arctic, again, many communities all across the Arctic Ocean, coastal communities that are dealing with the same kind of challenge. First Nation communities right across the country, and Inuit communities that are basically trying to combine healthy environment, healthy economy on a local basis. And we can support that. Researchers can support that. Governments can support that through the right policy measures.
Fantastic. So what are some examples of instances in which we've drawn from this local knowledge to inform our research into global problems of climate change and sustainability?
Well, each community has its own angle, which is wonderful, because it means that when you have thousands of communities across the country and around the world, you can basically pick out examples of where things are working in one community that you can apply elsewhere, and that you can apply at a bigger scale. So, for example, the stewardship efforts of local communities that we're studying with the Community Conservation Research Network are glowing examples of how, on a bigger level, a provincial or a national level, you can actually combine healthy environment and healthy economy as well. So the secret, I think, is to innovate at the local level, and then build that up with policy support, with governmental and broad organizational support for that. That's what we're looking at, is how that can work, taking local solutions and building them up.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Charles, before we wrap up, just for our viewers at home, where can we go online to learn more about this work and dig a little deeper into this topic?
Well, I'm happy to tell you that at least for the Community Conservation Research Network, the website is communityconservation.net. And that's a good source for some of our work on climate change and dealing with hazards that are coming, say, from the ocean. MEOPAR.ca, MEOPAR.ca is another great source.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Charles, thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting.
Thank you.